Jesus' code word, the Gnostic key to bypassing th. Jesus' suppressed teaching, the Gnostic code word to bypass Archons and exit the Matrix light trap. Imagine waking up after death, only to realize you've been led into a cosmic trap, a light tunnel that reroutes your soul back to a cycle you desperately want to escape. What if Jesus himself left us a secret code word to bypass this elaborate deception? This isn't just theory, it's an ancient Gnostic key, whispered among initiates, designed to activate your divine self and secure true liberation. The great deception, the light trap revealed throughout human history. Countless individuals have reported experiencing a profound phenomenon at the threshold of death. A brilliant, all-encompassing light, beckoning them forward through what appears to be a tunnel. This experience has been romanticized in popular culture, religious traditions, and near-death accounts as the ultimate symbol of divine welcome and heavenly transition. However, ancient Gnostic texts and esoteric teachings present a radically different interpretation of this luminous gateway, one that challenges everything modern spirituality has taught about the afterlife journey. The concept of the light trap emerges from traditions that predate organized Christianity by centuries, preserved in fragmented manuscripts, hidden from mainstream religious authorities. These texts describe an elaborate system designed not to liberate souls, but to recapture them, funneling consciousness back into the material realm for another cycle of earthly existence. The light itself, according to these accounts, functions as a sophisticated mechanism of deception, exploiting the soul's natural attraction to luminosity and the deeply conditioned human response to associate brightness with safety, goodness, and divine presence. Contemporary researchers, examining thousands of near-death experiences, have noted peculiar patterns that align disturbingly well with these ancient warnings. Many individuals who resisted the pull of the light and maintained conscious awareness during their near-death state report encountering beings who seemed insistent, almost aggressive, in their attempts to guide souls toward specific destinations. These entities, described across cultures with remarkable consistency, appear to possess authority and emit convincing displays of benevolence. Yet their ultimate purpose remains suspect when examined through the lens of Gnostic understanding. The critical question that emerges from this revelation demands immediate attention. If the light at the end of the tunnel is indeed a carefully constructed trap, rather than a divine welcome, who orchestrates this cosmic deception? And what drives their need to perpetuate humanity's endless cycle of reincarnation? The answer lies in understanding the architecture of reality itself. A construct maintained by forces that benefit directly from harvested human consciousness and emotional energy. These beings, identified in Gnostic literature as Archons and ruled by a false creator deity, have engineered a system so comprehensive and convincing that countless souls willingly surrender their sovereignty generation after generation, never suspecting they possess the power to transcend the cycle entirely and reclaim their authentic divine nature beyond the illusion. Gnostic wisdom, Jesus' unspoken teachings. The historical figure of Jesus Christ has been reinterpreted, sanitized, and repackaged countless times throughout two millennia of institutional Christianity. Yet the earliest accounts of his teachings reveal a profoundly different message than what modern churches propagate. The discovery of the Nag Hammadi library in 1945 brought to light a collection of Gnostic gospels that had been deliberately suppressed and nearly eradicated by orthodox religious authorities. These texts, including the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Philip, and the Secret Book of John, present Jesus as a teacher of hidden knowledge rather than a sacrificial figure demanding worship and submission to external divine authority. Within these suppressed writings, Jesus speaks directly about the nature of reality as an illusion perpetuated by inferior powers who masquerade as the ultimate God. He teaches his closest disciples that liberation comes not through faith in external salvation, but through gnosis, the direct experiential knowledge of one's true divine nature. This radical teaching threatened the power structures of emerging ecclesiastical institutions, which depended on positioning themselves as necessary intermediaries between humanity and the divine. Consequently, these texts were systematically destroyed, their teachings declared heretical, and their adherents persecuted throughout centuries of religious consolidation. The Gnostic understanding that Jesus imparted describes a cosmos governed by parasitic entities that feed on human ignorance and suffering. Tese beings, according to the texts, were generated by a false creator god, called the Demiurge, who fashioned the material world as a prison for divine sparks of consciousness. The Demiurge, ignorant of the true transcendent God beyond his realm, genuinely believes himself to be the supreme deity and demands worship from the souls trapped in his creation. This cosmology explains why human existence seems designed to generate suffering, limitation, and endless cycles of desire and frustration. Jesus' inner circle received specific instructions on recognizing these deceptive powers and techniques for transcending their influence. These teachings emphasized that true salvation required no external savior, but rather awakening to the reality that each soul carries within itself a fragment of the authentic divine source, completely independent from the Demiurge and his Archonic servants. This knowledge, when fully realized, provides immunity to the manipulations that ensnare most souls after death, including the seductive pull of the false light that promises rest but delivers only another round of incarnation. The divine spark, activating your inner power. Every human being incarnates, carrying within their deepest essence a fragment of the true transcendent God, a divine spark that Gnostic texts refer to as the monad, or pneuma. This authentic self exists completely outside the jurisdiction of the Demiurge and his Archonic forces, remaining eternally pure and untouchable regardless of how many incarnations a soul has endured. The tragedy of human existence lies not in the absence of this divine essence, but in humanity's profound forgetfulness of its presence, a spiritual amnesia deliberately induced by the architects of the material prison. Recognizing and activating this inner divine spark represents the first critical step toward liberation from the reincarnation cycle. Ancient Gnostic practitioners developed specific meditation techniques designed to pierce through layers of conditioned identity, societal programming, and incarnational trauma to access this core truth. These practices focused on cultivating intense self-awareness, distinguishing between the temporary personality constructed by life experiences and the eternal witness consciousness that observes all phenomena without becoming entangled in them. The process of awakening the divine spark requires rigorous honesty and willingness to question everything previously accepted as absolute truth, including religious doctrines, cultural narratives, and even personal beliefs about identity and purpose. This path of self-knowledge, which Jesus emphasized in his private teachings, demands that practitioners examine their thoughts, emotions, and reactions with detachment, recognizing them as products of the false self rather than expressions of divine essence. Through consistent practice, individuals begin experiencing moments of clarity where the constructed world reveals its illusory nature, and the authentic self emerges with increasing frequency and strength. Strengthening this connection to inner divinity provides crucial protection against post-death manipulations. Souls who have cultivated awareness of their true nature during physical incarnation maintain that consciousness through the death transition, recognizing deceptive entities and false promises of salvation. They understand that no external being, regardless of how authoritative or benevolent they appear, possesses legitimate power over the divine spark. This knowledge creates an energetic frequency that repels Archonic influence and allows the awakened soul to navigate the after-death realm with confidence and discernment, refusing to be herded toward the light tunnel that would otherwise capture and recycle their consciousness into yet another lifetime of limitation and suffering. The code word, unlocking liberation. Among the most closely guarded secrets within Gnostic traditions exists a specific utterance, a sacred phrase or code word that functions as a master key to bypass the elaborate after-death deceptions constructed by Archonic forces. This key, referenced cryptically in several Gnostic texts, including certain passages of the Pistis Sophia and fragments of the books of Jesus, was reportedly transmitted by Jesus to his most advanced disciples as insurance against the soul traps awaiting them beyond physical death. The word itself carries less power than the state of consciousness from which it must be spoken, requiring the practitioner to embody complete recognition of their divine sovereignty, while simultaneously rejecting all false authority. The code word is not merely a sound to be memorized and mechanically repeated during the death transition. Rather, it functions as an energetic key that resonates at a frequency incompatible with Archonic manipulation when uttered from a state of activated gnosis. Historical accounts and contemporary reports from individuals who have successfully employed this technique describe a profound shift in their after-death experience the moment they assert this key. The false light that had appeared so inviting suddenly reveals its true nature, The imposing beings demanding obedience lose their manufactured authority, and pathways previously invisible become accessible to the awakened consciousness. The specific phrase varies slightly across different Gnostic lineages, but the core components remain consistent. It involves declaring one's recognition of the true, transcendent God beyond the Demiurge, asserting the inviolability of the divine spark within, and commanding passage beyond the realms of the Archons to the fullness of the monad. Some traditions include ancient names of power that the false constructs through which these entities operate, while others emphasize a quality of unshakable knowing that renders deception impossible. Practitioners are instructed to work with this key during life, not waiting until the death moment to attempt its usage. Regular meditation, incorporating the phrase while in deep states of consciousness, helps establish the proper energetic frequency and builds the spiritual muscles necessary to maintain awareness through death's disorientation. Historical records suggest that individuals who mastered this practice experienced profound transformations, even during their physical incarnation, gaining access to states of consciousness that transcended ordinary human limitation and provided glimpses into the true nature of reality beyond the veil of material existence. Beyond the cycle, true freedom, and the monad, the experience of successfully bypassing the light trap and transcending the reincarnation cycle represents a return to the authentic source of all consciousness, the monad, which exists in a state of infinite potential and absolute freedom beyond all dualistic limitations. This ultimate reality bears no resemblance to the anthropomorphic heavens described by conventional religions, or the temporary rest periods offered by the Archonic system between incarnations. Instead, it encompasses a state of being so fundamentally different from physical existence that human language struggles to capture its essence. Though mystics throughout history have attempted to convey glimpses through poetry, metaphor, and experiential description, those who achieve this liberation report that consciousness expands beyond all conceptual boundaries, no longer confined to individual identity or separated from the totality of existence. The illusion of separation, which formed the foundation of suffering throughout countless incarnations, dissolves completely as the awakened soul recognizes itself as an indivisible expression of infinite consciousness. This state transcends the limitations of time and space that govern the material realm, allowing simultaneous awareness of all possibilities, all expressions, and all potentials, without the need to experience them sequentially through reincarnation. True freedom means sovereignty over one's own consciousness and eternal destiny, no longer subject to the manipulations of parasitic entities or the mechanical grinding of karmic systems designed to perpetuate endless cycles. The liberated soul possesses complete choice regarding future expressions of consciousness, whether that involves conscious creation of experiences beyond the Demiurge's jurisdiction, participation in the liberation of other souls still trapped within the illusion, or complete merger with the undifferentiated consciousness of the monad itself. As humanity approaches critical junctures in collective awakening, the knowledge contained within these ancient teachings becomes increasingly vital for those seeking authentic, spiritual liberation. The techniques, meditations, and especially the code word, transmitted through Gnostic lineages, offer practical tools for navigating the after-death realm with awareness and sovereignty. Practitioners who dedicate themselves to this path during their current incarnation not only ensure their own freedom but also contribute to weakening the entire system of soul recycling by removing their consciousness from the harvest. Every soul that escapes the trap diminishes the power of those who maintain it, bringing humanity one step closer to collective recognition of our true divine nature and ultimate liberation from the carefully constructed prison of reincarnation. Have you experienced glimpses of this truth? Share your awakening journey in the comments below. What resonates most deeply with your soul's knowing about liberation beyond the cycle?